رسول الله رسول الله.
If I were to just think of one word to summarize this conference, I couldn't think of one. I would probably say that for me, this conference was one of the most unique experiences I've ever had, in such a multi-dimensional way. I've actually had the ability to attend several conferences, specifically about the character of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And this was definitely the first time that I was in a gathering where people were actually, their eyes were just soaked. People were crying. People were having emotive responses. I thought that we were just going to go through the Shama'il of Tirmidhi. I thought we were just going to be going over the entire book, each hadith narration. But it turned out to be more than that. It turned out to be almost like a movie, but something deeper than a movie that I actually became a part of the cast. The narrations weren't just recited to us. There were stories that were shared with us. And one of the most unique things about it was specifically the teachers who narrated each of the narrations to us, that they brought us into the stories by telling us about who the people were who were even narrating these narrations about the Prophet, and really kind of painted a picture for us about who. It's not like I think sometimes we hear people talk about hadith all the time, prophetic narrations, and all we ever think about is, well, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said blank, blank, blank on the authority of blank, recorded in the book of blank, right? And so rare, it is such a rare opportunity to be able to hear people bring you all the way in, and say, this is the person, this is what they experienced, this is what they went through, this is what their life story was, and that's why they shared this story when they were asked to talk about the Prophet, peace be upon him. This is the nugget they wanted to transmit for you to hear.
I kind of wanted to get at like some things that were unique that you learned about the Prophet ﷺ.
There are two things actually that really stood out to me that I learned. One really impacted the work that I do at Ta'leef, and that was this beautiful narration. I've thumbed through this book before, but I've actually never read these narrations. And there's a narration of Jarir ibn Abdullah, may God be pleased with him, and he talked about when he first became Muslim. And he talked about how ever since he entered Islam, the Prophet, peace be upon him, never shunned him, never turned away from him, never ignored him. And every time he saw him, he was always laughing. Right? And I thought that was so profound, because it reminded me of what our work is supposed to be. If we're there as a Muslim organization, bringing people in, receiving them after they become Muslim, are we doing that? Are we doing ta'leef? Are we bringing hearts together, or are we pushing people away? So that narration really stuck with me, and it kind of reoriented me to think about not only the job I have and the work I've been doing in the community for the last 10 years, but to really kind of think about, hey, connect this back to the Prophet. Try to help spread that joy and that spirit to other people, inshallah. Another thing that really stood out to me in this seminar that was shared was this idea of how Allah lifts the blessings away from the ummah when they fall into dispute. How Allah will take the blessings away from the community of Muslims when they begin to argue and debate, such as Laylatul Qadr, how the Prophet knew the time, but then when the men started arguing, God took the date away. And I never knew about the well of Aris, about how the ring, the signature ring of the Prophet, peace be upon him, fell in, and then the fitna shortly there began, the trials amongst the Muslim community shortly began. Because especially during these times of the year, it takes a lot of patience to deal with people who are constantly criticizing you, who are maybe making jabs and being sarcastic. And it's hard to be someone who actually really does celebrate mercy. to hold your tongue and to remember this. So that was really powerful to me, to just think about, what's the whole point of all this stuff? And that's for us to continue to put the mercy forward, to learn from the Prophet, and to continue to love other people and not bicker and not debate, because maybe that's why we're in the problem that we're in, because we just can't love each other and be merciful to one another.
How has your personal relationship with the Prophet ﷺ changed after last week? What changed in your heart?
One of the things that I was always known for, before I started doing more of this community work, was my smile. Right after I became Muslim, I was always a person who would smile. Whenever we did programs, people would be like, oh, the people would laugh and giggle. And I'd be like, why are you laughing? Like, you're always smiling. Even when you're stressed out, running down the halls, setting up programs, the world is falling apart, you're smiling. Somewhere in the last 8 years, I lost my smile. I lost it, and I've been faking it. And perhaps even a lot of times people have seen a frown. I've been stressed. And I really do believe that this weekend I got my smile back. And I really reconnected with the spirit. Like, what's this all about? Right? Was the Prophet, peace be upon him, just a lawgiver? Was he just, a messenger? Was he just someone who we follow? Or is it someone that we actually love? Someone that we have a deep yearning love with, the likes of which many of us have never experienced. So I think that one of the things that I definitely got from the seminar was a connection that really brought a joy to my heart. It brought something back. I found something that I had lost. It was my smile.
How important is it for someone who wasn't Muslim before?
As someone who wasn't raised Muslim, who didn't grow up hearing stories about the Prophet, peace be upon him, about the companions, I think for me personally, it was very difficult to connect. But interestingly enough, what really made me want to jump into this faith was Hadith itself. When I studied the science of Hadith, I was just like, there's no way people could make this up. Like, this is the most detailed thing. They know, these people passed on details about the Prophet, peace be upon him, that perhaps we don't even know about some of our own loved ones, right? Such immense, intimate details. And to me, that's actually what triggered my faith. A lot of us, I think, when we come to Islam, believing that there's nothing where they worship but God, is actually very easy for a lot of us who come from like an American background. However, Muhammad Rasulullah, that Muhammad is a messenger of God, is one of the most challenging parts, because you have to divorce the idea of the connection to divinity from Jesus, peace be upon him. And it's almost like you feel like you're being like a trader, or you're learning a new language or a new spiritual culture, but really it's just being completed. So I think for me personally, just being able to explore that was just something that kind of brought it all back for me, and it was interesting. On Saturday night, I called my mother, and she was watching my son. So my wife was at a dinner, I was here. So my mom was watching my son, and I called her and I said, hey mom, how are you doing? And I just checked in with her and just told her I love her. And she said, yeah, how are you doing? Aliyah told me that you're at this conference, and how's it going? And I said, it's amazing, mom. I said, it's so beautiful. And we're just learning so much about the Prophet, peace be upon him. And I started sharing things with her like I always do. And she just paused and she said, it brings so much joy to my heart to hear you talk about things you love. It was like an arrow to the heart, because I think sometimes we forget, like, what's this whole thing about? My mom had supported me. She was my Abu Talib. She supported me, even though she didn't necessarily understand anything about Islam. She didn't agree with things. Maybe there were things she was like, what? But she always trusted me enough and supported me and defended me. And it's so amazing to me to even see that just in my fervor and my sincere love, that she feels the connection as well.
So imagine I'm a friend of yours who's saying, I'm just not sure I can give up a weekend for this. It's a lot of time. So I'm very hesitant about registering. I am that person. What would you tell me?
If you were hesitant about joining this conference, this seminar, I don't even know what to call it. to be honest with you. But whatever this amazing Celebrate Mercy gathering is, I would say it's your loss. I wouldn't push anyone to go. You know, if they don't want to go, then hey, that's your loss. But you know what? I wish it went on for another 3 weeks. I would stay there all day. During the conference, I was literally like, I haven't had this happen to me in a long time. I was so thirsty to hear every single narration that I would just run real quick. If I had to get water, I'd sprint real quick and sprint right back. So I didn't miss a single narration being shared. It was almost as if it was like the best Netflix movie I'd ever seen in my entire life. And or not Netflix because you can pause it, but maybe more like a sports, like the Super Bowl, you know, and you can't pause it, right? And I just wanted to run back to it every single opportunity that I had. So for anyone who's hesitant in registering, that's it. I feel bad for you.
Anything else you want to share?
I think this is one of the most important topics because it really helps us think about what this religion is really about. To connect to a soul that just every thought, every breath was about his creator. Every thought, every breath was also about his companions and his family. Every thought and every breath was about people he hadn't even met, people who would never meet him, but still believed in him. And to be able to just bathe in that pool for a whole weekend was remarkable. We just had a wonderful sister from our community named Katie Hartman. May God have mercy on her soul. She just passed away. She was 32. She passed away from cancer. And our community, all of Chicago, was there to support her. It was the most beautiful thing. She was like the prophet, peace be upon him, in the sense that she was an orphan. She didn't really have anyone in her family who was there for her. And all she wanted to be around were people who reminded her of Allah and his messenger. And every time I met with her when she was ill, all she'd ever ask me is about the Prophet, peace be upon him. I just wish that this class was a little bit sooner, so she could have come, or I could have shared this with her, because she loved the Prophet so much. Her faith strengthened my faith immensely. All she ever asked, what do you think the Prophet would think if he met my cat? Allah. So I think that teaching these things, especially in the way that they're taught, it's not a dry class. You know? It's not just a vain discussion. It's a celebration. That's why I never really understood the name Celebrate Mercy. But I think this weekend I understood it. How can you celebrate something you don't understand?